Guys, Quigon Quasar here, back again with another video. In this video, I'm actually going to be talking about Anthem, a brand new game that has just been announced at E3 in the Microsoft conference. It's actually Bioware's newest sort of project, newest game, and it looks really awesome. I'm basically going to be talking about first impressions and opinion of the game, so I've given you a rundown of what I think of the game and what I really thought about it in terms of my sort of my overall first impressions. And it's basically, first off, it's basically like a replacement for Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm playing Mass Effect Andromeda in the background right now. I just thought it would be better than you just, looking at a blank screen or looking at my face whilst I'm talking. It will probably keep you entertained a little bit more than that. But yeah, it's basically a replacement for Mass Effect Andromeda and for the Mass Effect series in general. They basically, Bioware have shifted 90% of their focus, 90% of their team over to Anthem, over to developing Anthem, and developing it further for when it releases. I believe it's 2018 that it releases, or maybe 2017. I don't actually know the release date, but yeah. So there's basically going to be no DLC or nothing else from Mass Effect Andromeda, and this is basically like Bioware's replacement project for Mass Effect now. Now, honestly, it has a lot of potential. It has a ton of potential. It feels completely new. It feels like a completely new sort of experience and story. It doesn't seem like it's built on the foundation that Bioware or Bioware's previous games sort of built and founded. So, like Dragon Age and Mass Effect Andromeda, or Mass Effect in general. It doesn't feel sort of founded on that. It feels like it's running on its own steam. It's got its own sort of story, its own basis, which is great. Which is very, very cool. It's a truly new experience and a truly new story. Now, in terms of the story, not much of the story was really mentioned in the in the brief sort of glimpse we got into it. It wasn't even, it wasn't shown and it wasn't really mentioned. The only story given is that players take the roles of freelancers who leave the safety of the walls of Fort Tarsus, which I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly, to explore the unknown and protect humanity. Now, this seems to, seems kind of similar in premise, at least like basic premise and idea, to the sort of the Guardians from Destiny. I do believe it's executed in a much better way. I'm not a fan of Destiny, to be honest, but I think it's sort of the same sort of premise of the Guardians from Destiny, in the sense that a select few people and a few humans or humanoids are sort of selected out and to sort of go forth. It's kind of the same sort of idea. There's like a few sort of remnants of humanity around, and sort of the freelancers, or aka kind of the Guardians, I guess, are sort of taking the role of the Guardians from Destiny. But like I said, I think it's executed and developed in a much better way in this instance in this game. But I do think the base idea is sort of the similar. Sort of the same idea. Now, the basis of the story, and this is just my opinion and what I've sort of gathered from looking at the gameplay, this isn't confirmed. The basis of the story, to me, it seems to be that the humans are struggling to survive in kind of a post-apocalyptic type of world. It's not confirmed as Earth. There's no sort of guarantee that it's actually Earth that they are in. It could be really any sort of Earth-like planet, but it probably is Earth. If it is Earth, though, it's probably very far into the future, judging from the technology that's available in sort of the short gameplay demo that we saw. It's very advanced. It really is very advanced. Now, it's kind of weird because it's kind of sort of halfway between humanity being on the edge of survival and trying to scavenge for scraps and for food and for sort of items and gear and stuff, but at the same time there's a lot of sort of high-end futuristic gear and technology seen in the gameplay demo, and that we can sort of get slight glimpses on an ultra advanced technology. My guess would be that there was some kind of war in the very in terms of lore. There was some kind of war in the very distant future of Earth that caused us to lose, caused humanity to lose most of the technology, but some of it was still gathered, or some of it we held onto and salvaged some of it. I think that's why there's sort of a post-apocalyptic sort of vibe going on, but at the same time there's some really high-end, ultra advanced technology in play and available. I think that's sort of I think that's a pretty decent and pretty fitting idea towards it. I might be wrong, like I said, I could be very wrong about that. Now, in terms of the art style, the graphical style, the style of the armors, the architecture, the weapons, all of this under the whole sort of header of art style. The art style is gorgeous. It's like a gritty yet futuristic visual design, which kind of goes hand in hand with this sort of a hybrid of post-apocalyptic, but also at the same time futuristic. the art style definitely reflects this, and things are sort of designed in a way that, you know, there's some futuristic things, some super futuristic things, like say in Mass Effect Andromeda, for example, but at the same time, there's some sort of gritty, urban style type of things, if you get what I mean. Now, I really love the combination of these usually clashing art styles. You usually don't see stuff like this in, you know, in games or even films or any kind of series. It's like a pretty cool clashing design and art style. I really do actually like it, right? It's something that we don't really see in many games or, you know, many media, like I said. For example, Halo, you know, the Halo games or like the Mass Effect games, they are like purely sci-fi, purely futuristic. Whereas, you know, like Gears of War, for example, is like very gritty, urban, and Vietnam-like, like very muddy, sort of, not really very futuristic. It's more of a gritty sort of future, you know, futuristic design. I think Anthem is like the perfect balance between those. I think it's like a perfect combination and sort of perfect unison of both of those, which I think is very damn promising. Really cool and very awesome. Now, weapon and armor design looks, you know, and architecture for that, like building and sort of architecture design, very sort of original. It's not it's very creative. It doesn't seem to draw from Mass Effect Andromeda or any other sci-fi game for you know, that matter. You would think that because, you know, Mass Effect and even Dragon Age, but, you know, Dragon Age in a sort of a sci-fi setting, Mass Effect has been such a, you know, a huge and sort of important part in Bioware's sort of campaign or career as like a games development team. You'd think that, well, one would assume that they'd sort of draw very strong influences from Mass Effect, and because Mass Effect Andromeda is the newest Mass Effect, that they'd, you know, draw very strong influences from Mass Effect Andromeda. But it doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to have developed like a whole new, fresh story in every aspect, not just the story, not just the gameplay, but also like the actual art style and just the visual design of everything, which is, you know, absolutely awesome in my opinion. I think it's really cool. Now, the world design is stunning. Much can be seen in our short glimpse into Anthem's gameplay. We get to see, you know, post-apocalyptic buildings, structures, ancient ruins from like another civilization, or from you know, very old humans, or very ancient humans, or, you know, something. We also saw like lush, vibrant jungles, and even got hints of like underwater locations that you can actually explore, which it's such a cool sort of variation of world design. You know, for example, like Fallout 4, no disrespect to Fallout 4, but I hated the world design in Fallout 4, for example, simply because it was all very sort of post-apocalyptic, you know, all sort of radiated area and landscape. There's not a lot of sort of variation there. There's not a lot of intriguing landscape design or world design. Whereas in this, like, I didn't see a single sort of area that I wouldn't want to go and explore, like a single sort of part of the map that we briefly saw in the demo that I wouldn't want to go and explore if I had the game. It looks really cool. It does look really cool. And the underground or the underwater locations I saw a couple of them in the gameplay demo. It's so awesome. That sounds so promising. And exploration is clearly going to be a pretty big part of the game. Now, Anthem is an open world game. We don't know how open, however, it is yet. They haven't really sort of guaranteed that it's going to be like a completely opened or locked experience, you know, where you can travel to any of the map at, you know, any time, much like, say, Skyrim or Fallout 4. But we haven't really got it confirmed that it's going to be sort of like a kind of open world, like, you know, like Mass Effect Andromeda. It's got some really open, wide open, very explorable and unlimited areas and locations, but other areas are quite limited or quite sort of straightforward and narrow, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we haven't really got a confirmation as to either of them, or, you know, which sort of way it's going to be. My guess would be that it would be similar to Mass Effect Andromeda's world, simply because, you know, Bioware has worked on Mass Effect Andromeda very recently. I would guess that they're going to sort of go along the same sort of structure of world design in that way. I think they'll design it in that way where, you know, there's a lot of massive, completely explorable and completely open areas, you know, up for offer, and that you can go and explore. But at the same time, there'll probably be a few sort of straightforward areas, also, you know, closed in areas, which is fine. Basically what I'm saying is that it's probably not going to be the game where, you know, every single spot you see on the entire map you can travel to. I might be wrong. I'm just guessing that it probably won't be the, you know, one of those games where you can go wherever you can see, which is great, which is fine. There's, you know, there's pluses and, you know, negatives to that, but I think that's fine. I think it's good, actually. That's a good thing, because it means that the developers, Bioware, will actually be able to balance their time and money between world design, gameplay, and story pretty damn perfectly. Like with Mass Effect Andromeda, they didn't just focus on a completely open world like they did with Skyrim, for example, like Bethesda did with Skyrim, or like Fallout 4. and then sort of like the story and the gameplay kind of, it's sacrificed in a way, I guess, because with less time and focus being placed onto those two massive aspects. But, now it's sort of it seems like they're going to be focusing more on this sort of the necessary open world areas and, the unnecessary parts. A rock at the top of the mountain, for example, or at the top of a mountain, for example. I think they're going to just sort of, put a barrier there or make it so that you can't get there, which is alright, that's great. We've seen that in a few really successful games like Andromeda, for example, and The Witcher 3, for example, that did that. Witcher 3's world wasn't completely open either. It was similar to Andromeda in the sense that some parts were massively open and some parts were, somewhat limited and, weren't massive and, completely unlocked maps. And the graphics are absolutely outstanding. They're really good. They're honestly superb in my opinion. I think anyone would agree that they are absolutely awesome. In my opinion, honestly, these are the best, graphics of any AAA sort of campaign or gameplay focused game out there. Obviously, there's some games that, have utterly terrible gameplay and really bad story that have, maybe slightly better potential for graphics if played, with HDR and 4K enabled. But honestly, the graphics are absolutely outstanding. They're so good, and many high-end effects are like present in the game. So a few of those, like these effects, are like strong, well-designed light rays. The light rays we've seen, coming through the trees and coming through, the foliage in the game, it just looks awesome. It looks absolutely beautiful. It looks so goddamn cool. There's some really gorgeous particle effects and, perfectly fitting lighting levels in the gameplay that we've seen. And it's actually recorded on Xbox One X, the new sort of 4K Titan, the most powerful console of all time. So, on normal Xbox One, PS4, PS4 Pro, it's not going to look, anywhere near as good. However, that being said, it probably still is going to look pretty damn, outstanding. It's probably still going to look really, really good. It's just not going to look, it's not going to be on the same level as, what it was on the Xbox One X gameplay that we saw in the demo. It's not going to be anywhere near as good as that, but it's still going to be a good looking game, even on the normal sort of current gen consoles like the Xbox One and PS4 Pro and PS4. Now the gameplay that I watched was actually in 1080p without HDR. I was just watching like a normal stream of it on YouTube. It was actually 720p, I think. No HDR enabled. It was just 720p, and the game still looked awesome. Obviously, you have YouTube's typical crappy compression or video file compression. It sort of wrecked the quality of it a little bit, or quite a lot, in fact. But that being said, it's like I said, it still looked awesome. It still looked really, really cool. That when I was watching it in that resolution, and it looked incredible. It really did. So I cannot begin to imagine how great it would look in 4K with HDR enabled on the Xbox One X. Now the gameplay looks awesome. It's very fluid, very responsive. It clearly takes some inspiration from Mass Effect Andromeda, at least in this aspect, simply because well, obviously it doesn't feel like I haven't played the goddamn game yet, but it seemed like it would feel like Andromeda's gameplay. It seems sort of that sort of brand, that sort of style. And, it looks very fluid, it looks very responsive, like you can transfer from cover to cover, or not necessarily from cover to cover, but sort of from gameplay mechanic to gameplay mechanic quite easily. It doesn't look like it stutters or that it's clunky at all. It looks very, very smooth and very awesome, very fluent. And the tiny snippets of gameplay we sort of suggest that exploration will be like a massive part of gameplay, which is another thing that was kind of unexpected, I think. Obviously, you've got exploration in Mass Effect Andromeda and everything, but I think they may just take it to a whole new level with this new project with Anthem. I think they're probably going to take it to like a whole another level and sort of encourage and sort of focus on exploration a whole lot more. I don't know, maybe it just seems like exploration is going to be a huge part of it. It may just be like a similar sort of level of exploration as Mass Effect Andromeda, but we don't know until it's confirmed and more has been confirmed. But you can expect plenty of areas and new areas and locations to explore. And like I said, the world design is absolutely, it's just fantastic. It looks so goddamn cool. It looks so sort of rewarding, and it's going to be so satisfying to roam around and explore these areas. It really is going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait. Now there is actually a loot system in play in this game. Like you can pick up weapons from like the bodies of enemies or the bodies of certain enemies. I think in the gameplay demo we actually saw that like one of the players pick up a weapon. I think it was like a rare weapon or an ultra rare weapon. I don't know what the brand for it was, but they picked up a rare weapon from like a boss type enemy. So I don't know if you're only going to be able to get like weapons from boss type enemies, or you're going to be able to get weapons from most enemies, or you only get your weapons from enemies that are certain attached to certain quests. I don't know, but there is definitely like a loot-based system attached to it. It's not just like you go to a store in game and pick it up. You can actually find them and pick them up off of enemies in some manner, in some way. And I'm guessing you can buy them from stores, like weapon vendors in game, and probably find a few in like secret areas, because in these explorable areas they're probably going to reward you for exploring those areas by giving you weapons and giving you items. You're probably going to be able to find a lot of the weapons and a lot of the gear in the game that you can equip and unlock. You're probably going to be able to find them in some of the secret areas or in chests or scattered around the world. Like that gives you one more incentive to roam around and explore. Now, we also saw what is called a Shaper Storm in the gameplay demo towards the end, and this is a large-scale dynamic event, a dynamic world event. It seemed to have like a massive impact on the environment and sort of change, kind of like Levolutions, if you know what they are, sort of change the environment once it started. So I don't know. I got to thinking maybe there's going to be some degree of destructible environments in the game. I don't think you'll be able to like blow entire buildings up with a rocket or with sheer bullets like I'm using in this match in Mass Effect Andromeda. But I think parts of the game might be destructible. I saw like freaking trees and rocks and stuff flying everywhere. Things were getting set on fire because of this quote Shaper Storm. So it's cool. There is definitely going to be some sort of destructible environment, which is just one more level of immersion, and it's always a good thing. It really is always a good thing. And they said that Shaper Storms are not the only form of large-scale world events. There's actually going to be a few different ones. I don't know what they are. Maybe they're going to be like some sort of tsunamis, or I don't know, tornadoes, or maybe some sort of like invasion. An invasion of some force. I'm just thinking off the top of my head now. But they did confirm that there's going to be different types and in different areas of the the explorable world. Now there is actually a full sort of predator-prey wildlife system in the game as well. There's 4 different kinds of creatures we saw in the demo. We saw 4 different kinds of creatures. Now 3 of those were prey, 3 of those were like I don't know what you call them, like herbivores, I guess, sort of like cow type creatures. Well, they weren't cow type creatures, but they weren't sort of predators. 2 of them were definitely sort of herbivore type creatures. There was like a wolf type pack of creatures, and then there was one like straight predator, kind of like a T-Rex of that world. It definitely looked very much like the apex predator. It looks awesome though, and it looks like the wildlife system is very well designed as well, like works very well because they were all interacting with one another. Those wolf creatures that I mentioned before were like fighting against this like massive apex predator, whatever it was, and it looked awesome. It really did look awesome. I cannot wait to sort of get in the game. I don't think I'm even going to kill them. I think I'm just going to stand back from like a high point in the map or a safe point in the map and just sort of watch and see who wins. It sounds really cool, and it does look like it's very well designed, the predator prey wildlife system. It seems very well designed. I'm really looking forward to seeing more species. Maybe there's probably going to be a lot more species in the game, and a lot more creatures in the game. Once we actually get our hands on the full version. Now the game is co-op multiplayer. The game is like a 4-player co-op multiplayer. I think the max player count is in fact 4 players. They showed like a maximum amount of players as 4 players. They didn't say that was like a player cap. They might be able to, you might be able to get more players into one match or one game somehow, one way or other. There might be game modes or different things that you can do, or different parts of the game that allow more than 4 players. But then the maximum amount of players that we saw in the demo was in fact 4 players. So I think it's safe to assume that it's going to be 1 to 4 player multiplayer, but multiplayer in the way that it's co-op, not sort of PvP 20 versus 20 like like something like Star Wars Battlefront, for example. But like I said, nothing's confirmed. Now my summary of this game is it looks really, really promising. I didn't see a single thing in the game that I didn't like the look of. It looks so awesome. I really, really like the look of it. And it's safe to assume, unfortunately, it's safe to assume that there's, Mass Effect is kind of dead. Mass Effect Andromeda is definitely dead. They're not planning on developing any more DLC or any more, additional content, or probably not any future Mass Effect games or, future installments for the Mass Effect series. Maybe some novels or, maybe mobile games, but not full-on games, because Bioware's focusing completely on this new independent project now, this new game, Anthem, which is very saddening and very disheartening. However, you know, it's good that it's a good game. I really like the look of this game. I think it's going to be universally liked as long as it stays true to what we've seen in the EA gameplay. And, you know, if Mass Effect had to go down one way or other, it's absolute bullcrap that it's gone down, and that, you know, a lot of the, you know, complete nonsense, negative criticism around some of the smaller things about the game that took it down. It is bad that it went down, but it's good that, you know, the game that's sort of taking up the mantle and continuing on with, you know, Bioware's legacy. It's good that the game's good. It is good that the game's good, and it's even better that it's still a sci-fi game. So I guess it's staying true to the Bioware roots a little bit, kind of. Obviously, Bioware's done other things than sci-fi, but I think a lot of people know them best for their sci-fi, you know, roots, which are obviously Mass Effect. Now, what did you guys think of the game? I thought it was awesome. Like I said, I thought it was awesome. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the game. Do you like it? Do you like the look of it? Do you think it's got like good potential? And do you like the look of it more than Andromeda? Do you think it's going to be like a step up from Andromeda in terms of like it's going to get a lot of attention and it's going to do very well? Or would you rather have seen like another Mass Effect installment? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I'm intrigued to see what you guys think, because I, for one, love the look of the game. Like I said, I'm a big Mass Effect Andromeda fan, and I really like the game. It's a bummer that it's been cancelled, and, you know, they're not really doing anything else with it now. But it's cool that the game is cool. It's cool that the game that's picking up from it is very, very cool. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I've sort of gone over everything that I've noticed from the gameplay demo. If there's more information, you know, released, or more gameplay sort of footage released, I'll probably cover it in a similar video to this, because I can't really shoot any gameplay. I haven't got any gameplay. I haven't got hands on the game currently, but I would very much like to sort of cover the game in a way, because it looks really, you know, promising and really entertaining. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like. It would really help me out, and I would really appreciate it. If you want to see any more videos, definitely stick around and subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.